it's Ashley. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I talk about all things moving, living, and doing business on the continent of Africa. If that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment to let me know topics that you'd like me to cover. Happy 2022 to all of my family, new and old. We made it to this year that will really be an inflection point for everyone to self reflect and to go deeper into their understanding of life, into their dreams, and into their goals. And I'm thrilled that we made it. We'll continue to thrive and strive forward into a season that is sure to be filled with abundance and prosperity and everything that we could dream of. So let's get into this video. 7 culture shocks of being in the US after spending 1 year in Africa, specifically Tanzania and South Africa. Yes, it was a huge culture shock for me returning back to the States after spending a year in East and South Africa. I'm still adjusting and it's taken me some time. Maybe you've seen some of my other videos where I was like, super energetic, super excited to share, which I still am. But the culture shock has really taken a toll on my energy. And I think in my most recent video, as we were going through the holidays and a lot of different changes that I was experiencing personally, those impacts and those changes that I feel are specific to the American culture were really shifting me in a way that required some downtime and some self-reflection. So now I'm ready to share some of these culture shocks that I'm experiencing, starting with number one, the weather. So right now I'm in the middle of a snowstorm. Well, it's not snowing right now, but it has been snowing for like the last 12 to 15 hours. And yeah, it's snowing after being in, continental Africa for the last year. It's just taken me some time to get used to. While I've been able to find some beauty in, the visual look of this snowy terrain in the back of our home here. Yeah, it's cold, and I've been living in, 70 to 90-degree weather for the last year in Celsius. I think that'd be like, 27 to 35 Celsius, maybe even higher. I'm still getting my metrics right. But yeah, so the weather has definitely been a culture shock. The sun shines differently on the continent of Africa. I'm just going to keep it real. I know there are a lot of theories and scientific studies done on things that have been done over here in the States or North America, maybe even parts of South America, Central America, where the sky has been manipulated to help the sunshine less, in effect for global warming or the prevention of it. I don't know. But there are some studies there. If you're interested, I can link them for you. But the sun shines differently. And I think that has a lot to do with, what's being controlled, but also the health of the community and the importance of vitamin D and how that can really heighten your spirit and help your immune system. Going into number 2, which is public safety and health. The way that the States has managed, or lack thereof, the current and previous couple of years that we've been dealing with this global health experience, it's just laughable. To have so much global criticism on other countries and the discovery of other variants, which it doesn't appear that they've discovered one yet, but also just, tests are low. Testing sites have 4-hour waiting times. The access to tests is, unavailable, if at all. Tests are coming back false positive. You know, the databases to record such information are inaccurate, if at all, even available. The whole management of the health of the nation here is super lackluster. And with that, it's a clear indication of the success of where a country is going based on their ability to maintain um, innovative health standards or innovative practices to maintain this health and safety of their citizens. So it's a no for me. um, the third thing is the increasing and overwhelming amount of gun violence in this country. It's so interesting to me that some of my peers, colleagues, friends, family members are always talking about how unsafe it is where I've lived in Tanzania, or where I've, spent extensive time in Johannesburg or Durban. And I'm like, did you go around a corner downtown lately? Because it's a hot mess in most metropolitan cities here in the States, whether you're talking about Atlanta, Georgia, New York, New York, Los Angeles, California, Houston, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana. I mean, the violence, Chicago, Illinois, the violence is out of control. And it's just out of control, and it's not getting any better as gun sales are increasing. Policy to prevent stricter gun laws is being enforced not only through the government but private organizations to make sure that gun makers, bullet makers are continuing to stay profitable. It's just not getting any better. And don't let me go down that rabbit hole. It's shocking to see how people can just exist in this society while it's affecting people that we know and love, and the concept that it's not going to happen to you or someone close to you that you know and love. So I think that also has to do with, as I go into my number 4, the media and what is shown on television here. Not only news and journalism, but Americans get American news, and it's told in a very American way, as if America is the best place on earth. And it creates this system of thinking that makes people really believe that. So what I noticed, being in Tanzania, I would get news from all over the world. I was watching the BBC, I was watching Al Jazeera, I was watching South African news, and I had access to global information that was giving me a global perspective to not just think specifically according to my own American bubble, which is what happens here. But also the television shows and the movies that are constantly showing violent, outrageous content that somewhat desensitizes us to thinking that all of the crazy psychotic things that are happening in our society are normal. It's like, it's not normal to watch people get shot in the head all the time. And listen, I'm not saying that this type of content isn't available on the continent, but it's overwhelmingly available on 300 to 400 channels on your cable or streaming networks. And that does something to your psyche. We can talk about that later in another video if you're interested, but what you consume really creates a subconscious shift in your mind of what you're willing to accept as normal or as a part of your life. So I think that goes into, why people can walk out of their home knowing that they're at risk of being in the middle of a shootout at a local Walmart, or their children are at risk of being the next victims of, a mass extermination because it's what they're watching on television daily for 5, 10, 15 hours a day, especially since stay at home orders are getting a little heavier and kids are being held home from school. That content consumption is going up. So that is definitely one of the culture shocks that I have been experiencing. And leave in the comments if you're an American traveler, or if you're a foreigner that has traveled to the Americas, North America, and have experienced some of the similar culture shocks that I'm speaking of. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, or, to share some feedback on what I'm talking about. Um, the last biggest culture shock that I've noticed is the quality of life. I remember working 60 hours a week, being a new mom, and not seeing my kids, not necessarily eating healthy, not sleeping well, dealing with a lot of irritability and anger and, um, just negative vibes and like negative vibration. And I recognized that really what I was dealing with was the anxiety and the depression of working to live. And listen, we all have to make a living. If we're blessed enough to have a skill set, yeah, we can go hard, in the paint and like hustle and do what we have to do for our families and ourselves. But there's something to be said about a culture that is constantly pushing the grind, is constantly pushing the acquisition of things that we can't afford, that is constantly pushing the perspective of, work hard, play hard for 2 days out of 7 days, or for 2 weeks out of 53. There's something to be said about that. And I realized being back that I have inherited this beautiful serenity and this peace and just this understanding that all of these urgencies are fake. Like, it's not real. There's no rush, there's no race, there's no competition. There only is now. And so, how I'm operating in this very moment is all that matters. And how I can do that with a heightened level of peace and patience, and joy, and spend that with myself, and also pour that into my children, is more important than how many figures are in my bank account. And yes, money is absolutely something that we all need to survive, and we all need to have a life that we want, but it's only a tool to get there, because pure joy actually comes from within. And out of all of the places that I visited on the continent, no matter what was had or where there might have appeared to be lack, everyone was pleasant to me. Everyone had joy. Everyone had a smile on their face when they welcomed me into their home, into their stores, into their businesses, or just onto their block, like on their road in their neighborhood. It was a beautiful experience to see that their joy came from within and not from the things that they were able to accumulate. And it's definitely something that is missing from the fabric of Americans today. And it's also something that I would hope that we could be open minded about, and stop perpetuating this concept that the continent of Africa and its people are poor, are unsafe, have lack, have fear of the unknown and fear of what they don't know, being an African American, or, an African diasporan from the UK or South America or the Virgin Islands. In fact, those are qualities that we actually have as misplaced diasporans off of the continent that we've picked from being surrounded in these environments of consumerism and capitalism. It is us that have this fear, that have these surrounding theories and create the thoughts of danger and lack and, you know, competition amongst each other. It's not our brothers and sisters on the continent. So, if you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe, like my channel, and share it with someone you feel would find value. And as I'm working through what content looks like this year, I'd love to hear some of your input and your feedback on the topics that you'd like for me to share. I'm working on some content of what this visa process looks like and applying for visas for myself and my girls, as I establish some business plans on rolling out some really cool business ideas for the people of South Africa and East Africa. But please like the video if you found some value in it, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone that you feel would enjoy. Until next time, bye.